Hey everybody, I'm sitting down with Cindy Brown. She is a part of the human trafficking unit in Oakland County, and the reason why we're doing this interview is to kind of do an expansive talk about human trafficking because this is going on in our county. And I think when we were talking for our story, I think there's a lot of misconceptions. So talk to me a little bit about who are the women that are being trafficked, and I know men are trafficked as well. We typically see women. Talk to me about who these people are.
They are women from all walks of life, various backgrounds. The common theme for all of them is vulnerability. Whether the vulnerability is addiction, maybe homelessness, or adverse childhood experience, like significant trauma that they experienced early on in life. We've had cases that involve people with college degrees, various educational backgrounds, employment status. It cuts across the continuum.
And I want to talk about how these traffickers find their victims, because I know it was a year or two ago I did a story with this educated young lady. Her father was a doctor. They lived over in West Bloomfield. Everything was, going great. She had a drug problem. She went to rehab. She was in and out. But in her case, she was actually leaving the rehab, needed a ride, was literally walking down the street, and it was like the trafficker knows, oh, at that rehab place, if I can go by, I might be able to scoop someone up. And that is how he got her. And she was so proud that she went through rehab and she thought she was doing good. And so they're smart in terms of trying to find someone who's vulnerable, right?
Correct. And they get on Facebook and look for women who maybe are homeless, are looking for a boyfriend or some company. They look for the specific issues that the person is having and exploit them.
And they use social media too.
Yes.
So they
use friends too. They use, for example, the drug traffickers who are human traffickers, utilize the women that they are trafficking to get their friends in. If they also have friends and relatives who have substance use disorders or challenges with addiction, that they reel them in that way. And there's always kind of a honeymoon phase initially too, where they feel safe, they feel comforted, they feel like they're cared for, and then it changes.
Let's talk about the big case. I think that was about a year ago, Coleman in Pontiac.
Yes.
Convicted.
Correct.
So talk to me about how that all came to be.
So that case started with the Auburn Hills Police Department doing a sting at a hotel there. Law enforcement, he had been on law enforcement's radar for decades, primarily as being a drug trafficker. But Auburn Hills was aware of him, and it had actually gotten onto social media, like a mega personals ad, and solicited bringing some of the women that he was trafficking to the hotel, and then it started from there. The investigation.
How were these women treated?
Poorly is an understatement. They were treated.
Dogs are treated better.
Yes, they were treated. They were beaten. They were starved. One of the women, when the search warrant was executed, she weighed 65 pounds when the police came upon her. Many of them had significant health issues because he would not let them see a doctor. They slept in the basement, didn't have access to showering. One of the women said she had bed bug bites all over her body. They would actually bathe in the laundry tub in the basement. They couldn't use the restroom. They had to urinate and defecate in a bucket in the basement. Completely demeaning, cruel, abusive tactics that he utilized to get the women to begin with and then maintain them.
And then they don't feel that they can, quote, get away or escape because they think to themselves, oh, I'm a criminal, prostitution, or I have drugs, or I have this drug habit that there's no way in the world I could afford.
Correct. And that's actually what happened, is one woman in particular, so when I first met Rich, I had a gram a day heroin habit, which is about $100 a gram. And by the time the police executed the search warrant, she had been with him for a couple of years. She was over 5 grams a day. So she said, how am I going to pay for a $500 a day habit with a job, and how am I going to maintain a job even if I could pay? And what people don't understand is that the sickness that comes with the withdrawals, every one of these women said they felt like they were going to die. So for them, getting those drugs was a lifeline in their mind.
So there was no other way out.
Correct.
They had to keep doing it.
Correct. And they were afraid that he would find them because he had done that. When some of the women they would hear actually did get away, he would track them, go to their families.
What do you want to clarify on misconceptions? Because I know we've talked about, and I'm going to just say it here, even though it's just ridiculous. You know, there was all these quote stories of people going, I don't even want to name, you know, by blah, blah, blah shopping place and picking up people. And that isn't what's going on.
No, it is not. It's not like the movie Taken.
No, it isn't. And it is based a lot on addiction. And I think it's important, too, to mention addiction's a disease.
It is.
Like, talk to me about that insulin example.
It is no. So in the Coleman trial, I actually used this in my closing argument to say to the jurors, if these women were engaged in commercial sex to obtain insulin because they had diabetes, would you look at them the same way? Or is it because they're doing it because of their addiction, their substance use disorder, that you give it a different look, right? And none of them, every single one of them, not just in that case, but in every case I've had women say, there is no way that I could engage in the amount of commercial sex that I had to and be sober. And so that was their way of coping, and then their addiction would elevate because it would just get worse and worse. Yes.
It's a problem, obviously, in our state. What, we're 10th?
We're in the top 10 in the country.
Why do you think that is? Because of our border?
I think the border is a big part of that, yes, the Canadian border. I think, and a lot of people think that when we're talking about human trafficking, it means it's somebody coming in from another country, and that's not true. I mean, yes, it does happen, and that people are exploited, you know, where maybe their passport is taken, so they feel like they can't go anywhere, right? That's another aspect of control that the traffickers use. But it's everybody, but the border has a big impact on it.
Right. So what's next? What's your biggest battle in terms of trying to really circumvent this?
I would like to see an organized human trafficking task force, investigative task force, to address the issues that we have in investigating the cases to their fullest extent because of jurisdictional boundaries. I think that is an absolute must in order to truly be able to do all we can to combat human trafficking and to help as many people as we can, as many trafficking victims as we can.
And let's say a victim is watching or clicking. What's your message of hope and help to them?
That they should say something. There is help out there, and that there are people who care, and that they're worth the help and the care that is available.
There with that. I think what's important to remember, it's someone's daughter.
It is.
Someone's sister, someone's mother, and we all should care.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.